Nick, we've been friends for a long time, but honestly, ever since that indie rock band put a demon inside you and you showed up in my bedroom and tried to kiss me one night, I feel like I don't really know if we can be as close as we once were. I feel like our relationship dynamic is a little bit strained and weird now. I mean, we maybe get into that a little bit.
Ever since that demon was placed inside of me, before I thought you looked like a dirty goblin, but now there's just something about you,
All right,
and you're
guys,
just
listen, I know this is really, I hate to interrupt this beautiful, uh, engaging conversation, but we have to be professional here, okay? We have a guest here with us, so now is not the time, all right? Welcome to Hate to Interrupt. I am Ethan from youtube.com/Gulif, and I am joined by...
Nick from Stop Culture.
I'm VHSGuy, Nick.
And we are joined by a very special guest. Welcome in, Ellie from Making Media Matter. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. Very happy to be here.
Of course.
Yeah, of
Welcome
course.
in.
Of course.
All right.
All right, and we're going to start off the pod by doing a little interview, and then we're going to talk about the 2009 cult classic. Is it cult anymore? I feel like it's so popular now. I don't know. I guess
like
it's
it's
a
kind of a
classic.
cult
To me, it's
classic.
just a classic.
Yeah, classic.
Yeah.
2009. Jennifer's Body. So
Okay, cool.
yeah. So a lot of us being YouTubers, content creators, whatever you may call us, we all kind of have very different reasons for deciding to take that first step and make videos for YouTube. So what is it that made you want to start making YouTube videos? Was it growing up watching YouTube? Was it that desire to express yourself, or was it something else entirely?
I guess it was a mix of probably like all three. I guess like first off, obviously I really wanted to like express myself. I'm from like a pretty small town. I never met a lot of people that were super interested in the same stuff that I was, whether that be like music, movies, like animation, things like that, whatever I cover on the channel. So it was really my avenue to, I guess, kind of cover that and talk about that and like have a creative outlet for that. I'm also like really big into like film and filmmaking and I told you guys earlier before we started the show, like I'm majoring in film as one of my majors at school. And YouTube really is like my avenue to, I guess, kind of get some of that creativity out because I'm not really, I work with other people like on student films and things like that, but YouTube is really like my space to do my own thing, talk about whatever I want to, learn how to use equipment, learn how to like speak on camera and things like that. And then also like I would say I watched a bunch of YouTubers before I ever started. There is this one YouTuber that I would shout out as like a huge influence. Then it was Bobby Burns. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of this YouTuber, but they made stuff like 2016 was like their peak, and they made like these video essays that I thought were so mind blowing. And then they like kept innovating content and doing different stuff. And I just remember seeing that and being like so inspired by it. I was like, wow, I want to make videos that are like feel natural, like evolve, cover cool stuff in an interesting way. And then, I love a bunch of other YouTubers. Like there are tons that I watch now and I could list them off like for days, but definitely other YouTubers were a big inspiration. Also, COVID, because I started my channel in 2021, which literally I was inside all the time and it was because of COVID. So I wasn't seeing any of my friends. I had nothing else to do other than start making videos. And by the time that COVID, like the pandemic kind of ended, I guess, I'd already been doing it for like 2 years. So I kind of already had that foot in the door, I guess.
Yeah, I think I think probably majority of the people we've interviewed that are other YouTubers have all kind of either started or blew up around the time of COVID. I think that was just kind of the outlet. A lot of people were like, hey, now or never,
Yeah,
A
I
lot of people
remember
were
like
watching YouTube too.
they were. I feel like for me, I didn't blow up during COVID. Mostly because I couldn't make videos because I was still like living with my parents. Like I was in high school. And keeping my YouTube channel a secret from my mom and dad. And I was like, so I couldn't really record. I had to wait till everyone's schedule synced up to where everybody would leave the house to get on and record a video. But once I got to college, like I started putting in more consistent work, and then I think I hit my first success like my second semester here. That was my note video, and then it's been like just progressively working at it ever since. But COVID was definitely like my foot in the door for sure.
Why did you want to keep it a secret from your parents initially?
I just feel like it's none of their business.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think my parents are I won't talk about them too much, but I have my stuff with them, my issues or whatever, and they're not very like supportive of my creative endeavors. They'd probably like want to monitor what I post, like how I act on YouTube or something like that. So I was always like, this is my thing, this is my channel. Especially when I started making money from it, I was like, this is mine
Yeah.
completely. Y'all don't need to know
Yeah.
about this.
Mhm.
So to this
Absolutely
day,
valid.
it's my wonderful little secret.
Yeah, that's one thing
That's
I
awesome.
definitely had to consider that too. Not just on you, because I make music too. So sometimes when I
Yeah,
write lyrics that I like, it's always a thought in my head is like, I know my mom and dad are gonna hear these lyrics. Like, what are they gonna think of them?
right,
But
right.
you can't. I mean, you just really can't worry. And they're kind of contrary to what you said. They have always been quite supportive of it, and they've never really grilled me on anything that I've said. So that's nice.
Yeah.
You know. So I
No,
but I
yeah,
Even in
think
like school for me, like my teachers would be calling my parents and like, "What the fuck is this kid writing? What is this? This is horrifying." So
I
I feel like there's nothing that could surprise my parents at
yeah,
this
no, I
point.
think my parents would like flip just off the fact that I cover horror movies. My mom thinks horror is like the devil's genre. She thinks I'm gonna become like a serial killer because I like watching slasher movies or whatever.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I had a
My
little bit of a religious upbringing too, so I get it.
Yeah.
yeah, my parents, I always, bash on conservatives and right-wing stuff. I mean, most of us do. But like I was initially nervous about doing that publicly, but my parents were like, "Oh, we'll listen to the podcast." I'm like, "We're 40 episodes in. They're not getting this far.
Right.
yeah.
I'm fine."
Right. Yeah.
I don't
um
know, maybe they'll like it.
uh, so Ellie, has becoming a content creator resulted in you watching more or less YouTube videos as a viewer?
That's a great question. I think that I don't know if it really resulted in like a numbers change, but I think the way that I watch like really changed because like now sometimes I'll watch videos that like maybe I don't even care that much about the topic. It's just I love the way it's like edited and presented and I'm like I really like want to know how they did this. Like I will watch like I don't know, just weird videos that maybe I'm not super invested in, but I'm like, this is done in such a good way that like I really like want to learn how they did it and I guess kind of adopt that into my own work. Obviously like I feel like I have my YouTubers that like I'll stop anything to watch a video by them. And those are the ones that it's like a mixture of I really like the stuff that they're covering and I like the way that they cover it, like their production value, their aesthetic with it. Like I just really appreciate that. So it's like kind of a mix, I guess. I would say I watch maybe about the same amount of YouTube now. But I guess I'm just watching in a slightly different way. And I definitely have my favorites. And I have started to rewatch YouTube videos. Like I will just run out of stuff to find on the timeline. I'll just go back to channels that I really like and just rewatch old stuff of theirs like over and over. Cause it's like to me it's like it's art. And I think it's like so interesting to just learn something new about a video like every time I go back to it, I guess.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting that you mentioned that. I feel like because it's sort of a gift and a curse about not just YouTube, but
Mhm.
immersing yourself in any practice, any art form. When you
Yeah.
really start doing it for a while, it opens up a new facet of a different kind of way you can
Mhm.
enjoy it, but it's kind of like a technical enjoyment. You're like, oh, I see what they did there, or maybe I could do that in my next one, blah blah blah.
Right.
But you kind of lose that, not necessarily naive, but more like fresh faced enjoyment of the
Yeah.
product as just a viewer would, who doesn't know how the sausage is made. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For sure. I
Yeah, I
feel
feel like
like
that's why I watch less.
I'm sorry?
You said that's why he
I feel like
watches
that's why I
less.
watch less too, because
Yeah. Yeah, for
I
sure.
don't view it the same way as like a normal person. I'm like I'm thinking about how they made it as opposed to just being able to sit down and enjoy it.
Yeah, I went through that in a big way with like music because once I started doing like audio editing and really trying to learn like how to mix voices and stuff. When I listen to a song, I used to really love like underground, like, like SoundCloud, like really like minimally produced music. But now it's like I'll listen to something and I hear the little voice clicks and I'm like, it just drives me insane. I'm like, I
Yeah.
can't enjoy this because it just takes me
The
right back to
production's
like
not there.
late night trying to figure out how I'm going to filter the voice clicks out of my audio and just
Yeah.
being like so frustrated with it. But yeah.
Yeah, I deal with the same thing as a musician now,
Mm.
because that's a lot of, unfortunately, that's a lot of what my music listening experience is like. Whether it's that, analyzing production or mixing, it's analyzing song structure, chords, or whatever. So it's kind of like I said, it's a gift and a curse, but still, it does open up a new facet of enjoyment. So that's cool too.
Sure.
So you've been doing this for like, was it almost 5 years since you started around COVID, right?
Yeah, I would say I started like tail end of 2021. So this is probably going on my 4th
Okay.
year. I'd say I really got underway like 2022. So I feel like really committing to YouTube, it's been like 3 years ish.
Okay. And in those 3-ish years, what would you say is like your favorite part of the creative process, and what would be your like least favorite part of the creation process?
Yeah, that's a great question. Hot take, I really enjoy making thumbnails. That's like become
Yeah.
one of my favorite things. I feel like sometimes before I even have a script finished, I will work on a thumbnail because I feel like getting a visual of like what I want the thumbnail to look like and what I would want to see clicking on that thumbnail, like can give me a vision of where I want to take the video, like in what way I want to do it. So I usually plan out my thumbnails alongside scripting, and I really started to enjoy like the graphic design process because I've been able to get better at it. I remember when I was just starting out, like I thought all my thumbnails looked so ugly, and I was like how like what do I do different? Like what am I doing wrong? Because I was thinking I was doing everything like everyone else. Like I just put text over image, and I'm like, why doesn't this look good? Why is it so like hideous? But then you have to learn like the little small stuff, like just all types of like photo editing tricks. And now it's like I enjoy like graphic designing and stuff like that. Like I made like a birthday flyer to send out to my friends because I was like I had 30 minutes to kill and I was like, this would be super cute if I made a little birthday flyer, like using my YouTube thumbnail skills. But I think that's one of my favorites. Obviously writing. Also like I'm a huge writer. I started YouTube like I would say primarily to get my writing out. So I always love to just sit down and when you're really like flowing like with writing, I adore that. Obviously I hate editing. I think everyone hates editing. It's the worst
Not
part
everybody.
easily.
I hate the
Yeah.
first
There's
half
some
of editing
psychopaths out there.
where
I guess. I mean, I know some people are like editors, so let me not say anything like mean to them. But yeah, I don't know. I could not do editing. I
yeah,
couldn't.
I hate
I
all the
couldn't do that.
technical elements of editing where it's
Yeah.
just kind of you drop in your audio recording and you're like, all right, got to spend an hour cleaning this up
Literally. No,
or
literally.
more.
It's horrible.
I think
Yeah,
I think
everyone kind
thumbnails,
of
like you said,
tackle it differently. It's like, video
Yeah.
essays, depending on the channel. Some people lean more on the video, some people lean more on the essay. I'm more, I think, of an essayist who's just like, the only way I'm ever going to get paid for writing is putting a video to this and narrating it. so
That's exactly
so
how
I'm
I
going to
feel.
do
I
it
think
that
if
way.
I could do all my videos, just film myself in a nice little set. Like I don't know if y'all know Jenny Nicholson, but she
Yeah,
does like 3-hour videos where it's basically just her on screen. I'm like, if I could do that and be successful off it, of course I would. But I feel like
absolutely.
every single video essay that I make, I get through the scripting, I chop up the audio, and I'm like, what sections of this need to have video? What sections need to be me on screen. And it's usually like an even split that seems natural. And I'm like, damn, now I have 20 minutes of footage to splice together. Like, and that
I
takes
usually
weeks.
Yeah.
I usually put it in the script. I like bold the part that I'm going to put my face on,
Yeah,
and
that's what I
then
do as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
yeah.
But I think thumbnails are like you were saying, probably the most like I don't like making them, but I think once
Mhm.
you like have a good thumbnail and you like know you have a good thumbnail, that feeling
Yeah.
is like so nice because
Oh
you're like
yeah, it's
this video is
unmatched.
gonna do well.
But I really will be like just absolutely gagged when a thumbnail that I think is amazing just doesn't do well at all. Like I made what I thought was a really great thumbnail for this Sinners video I just
I was
did.
just looking at
Yeah,
it.
And
that is
It
great.
rules. It's
Yeah.
great.
I have one on there now. I think if it's still the one, it was like what's it called? It was like a still from the movie with the big text or whatever. And I thought that was like the best thumbnail ever. But then it performed like worst out of the ones that I ran. I was like, what? I was
Do you
so
ever
like
do you ever
shocked.
look back, like after they underperform, look back at it like months later and be like, I see why that failed? Because that happens to me. Like sometimes I'll think a
Yeah.
thumbnail's great and then I'll look back at it and I'll be like, okay, what was I thinking?
Yeah, usually like a year removed, I will see a thumbnail that I'm like, I thought this was the best thumbnail ever. And then I'm like, oh, that was ugly. I see why people didn't like that. Like, and I thought I was like cooking on some like next level of YouTube and I was about to get 1 million views. And then I got like 3,000. Like, I'm like, okay,
And
so I see it now.
it's also like sometimes ugly thumbnails do really well. Like
Yeah, I see that
if you
too.
notice
That's
that there are
true.
all these channels that just have these disgustingly AI expressions and they're like
Yeah,
AI painted or whatever. It just looks
yeah.
really gross. But I don't know. That's kind of for any channel though. I feel like making a thumbnail is always a mix between trying to put across something that looks artful, colorful, that pops, that nice to look at, but also just
Yeah,
representative and curiosity driving for whatever the topic of your video is. So it's always that
yeah.
kind of battle between art and commerce in that way, like however you're going to present it to people.
Yeah, I will reveal like not definitely not to diss any other YouTubers, but the one thing that I think pisses me off more than anything is I don't know if y'all have seen these video essay channels that they'll make really good, well edited videos, and the thumbnail is just like a still shot from the
Hate that.
movie.
Yeah.
Like it's just like a frame from the movie. And I'm
I think
like,
that
like
trend's
it
dying
angers
down
me
a little
so
bit,
much because they're so successful. And I'm like, why can't I just like make a video, put literally a frame from the movie like it's 2008 YouTube and then get 1 million views? But I mean, I guess it's what's in the video. It's important for them. But I'm always like just amazed by that. And that frustrates me to no end when I stay up like designing thumbnails.
I feel like it's a gamble. It's either somebody gambling that made just a good gamble and it ended up working out for them. They have
Yeah.
a title that makes you want to click and is like, oh, why is Timothy Chalamet from Dune in this? Just straight up thumbnail. Like I guess
Right.
I'll see what that's about. Or it's somebody like what's that guy's Penguin Charlie guy? That guy who
Oh
just
yeah, where he's
Moist
just
he
like,
doesn't even
yeah,
bother
it's
with
like,
any
guys,
thumbnails really. It's just like here's
all
my
of his
face.
thumbnails look the
You know?
exact same.
Oh yeah.
Same
yeah,
pose.
for
this
sure.
movie sucks. Like
Yeah.
that's the title.
Was this
It's like,
movie
okay.
Yeah.
but totally,
No,
dude?
I wish I could do stuff like that, but I guess there is joy for me in designing thumbnails, and like you said, when you know you have a good thumbnail, like it's a really good feeling. Like my Nope
Absolutely.
thumbnail, that was my first video
That's
that
a
blew
great
up,
one.
and I thought it was great, and it literally took me like maybe 10 minutes to do in Photoshop. I had no skill like in the app at all. I just put in some text, made it like transparent, semi, and then like put a shot from the movie and like made one part a bit brighter. And I was like, this kind of eats. And it's the one that I still look back on it. I'm like, that works so well. And it was so like low effort. And I'm like, all the other ones I make, like they're so high effort and then they don't do as well. And it's just like, who even knows anymore?
Yeah,
It
that's the
sucks
worst
because Ethan
feeling.
made my best thumbnail,
I don't even remember which one.
the sitcoms one
Oh yeah.
with the Full
Oh.
House.
I also made
thumbnail.
Nick just made a video on Superman, and I did
Yeah,
the thumbnail for that, and that video is over 300,000 right now.
Ethan's
So
definitely the best thumbnail maker of us.
I think Nick's also really good. I'm really good at making thumbnails for other people's videos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that I could like how people sell their editing abilities. I'm like, I should go make thumbnails for people. Like,
I've thought
I need to
about it.
be a thumbnail maker because I have Canva Pro, so
That's what I
I
used to.
that,
I do too.
I got to lock in for the community, do some
Yeah.
thumbnails for sure.
I've been starting to get those emails where it's just like your videos are great or whatever, but you could do so much better if you use the touch of our
Yeah.
thumbnails.
Yeah, I've started to get I get those emails all the time too. they're like, "Hey, let us like do your thumbnail," or like, "This video would perform so much better with this title," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay."
It's like you're not gonna you're
Right.
really you're reaching out to people. I'm assuming they said the same thing to you. It's just like you're
Mhm.
kind of half insulting me by being like,
Right. You're
like
like, "Hey."
if you hired us, you're doing all right, I
Right.
guess, but we could really
Right.
bring you to the next level. It's like, all
Like,
right,
this
well,
stuff you worked, like, hours on, it's fine,
yeah.
but, like, you could be doing so much better if you accepted our, like, dumbass AI
Yeah,
thumbnail
exactly.
or whatever. Ridiculous.
So one thing we haven't really, or I haven't talked about on the pod because I wasn't on the pod when we had this discussion. But you seem to have taken an interest, just like the rest of the world had, in the Kendrick and Drake beef that happened last
Yes,
year.
I did.
Having made multiple videos on the subject, is there a particular reason that you have revisited the subject so many times? And what do you think made his, like, this hip hop drama so much more enticing compared to others?
Yeah, so I would say the main reason I revisited the topic a bunch, money. No, I mean, well, part of it is money. Those videos do really well,
Mhm.
and when that beef was happening, and those are some of my best numbers ever, and I was like, "I have to keep going back to this." But also, like, Kendrick is maybe not my favorite rapper, but he's one I've listened to more than anybody else. He's definitely, like, top 2, for me all time, and it was that way before the beef ever started. Like, I was doing Instagram content about like Mr. Morale, the album before the beef, like doing full like dissections. I was working on like a full album breakdown, like just going into it like really deeply. And then the beef was just this great little convergence where like what I felt like was my like hyperfixation became like the hyperfixation of the world. And I was like, this is my time to lock in and make a bunch of videos. I did get really burnt out on it though. I started having to take like months. I had to take like a month away from doing any beef videos because I did like 3 or 4 in a row. And I was like, I'm really bored of this. I want to go talk about Friday the 13th. And, much less people care about that. But I felt like you have to have that balance between what you care about and what's successful. Um, I do feel like with the beef, like I think the reason it was so big is just because, like, it's 2 of the biggest rappers in the world, and I think everyone already didn't like Drake that much. Everyone already has, like, issues with Drake. Like, far before that, I didn't like Drake before that because he just does, like, weird stuff with women and is,
He's a bit
like,
of a weirdo.
sexist, and it's just strange. So when I saw they were fighting, I was like, yeah, this is good. I definitely didn't expect like everyone for it to become like the biggest moment of the year culturally. But it was very cool that it did because then I was in a good position to talk about it with like some authority, I guess, because I had been listening to Kendrick for, I mean, ever since high school, so like years.
Yeah.
It's always so like nice and rewarding whenever you dislike somebody and then like the culture
Right,
like changes and like everybody agrees with you. Like I hated
right.
Drake for 16 years and I had to wait so long for everybody to realize that I was right.
Yeah, I feel
And
like
I've
once the
hated
beef
Pedro
started,
Pascal for like 3 years and it's starting to come around.
hey, that's fair. I quite enjoy Pedro Pascal,
Mhm.
but Drake, I can definitely support on. Like, I have never liked Drake. I never went through a phase where I was listening to Drake. And I feel like once the beef happened, everyone came out and was like a closeted Drake hater. And I was like, okay, so we've all been living
Validated.
this like collective fantasy for years.
Because people are always saying like Drake has that what's that the album called Take Care. People say that's his classic
Yeah,
album, and I was like, who listens to anything from that album anymore? Like that album
yeah,
does not have a lot of staying power. It was influential for sure, but I don't
yeah.
think people really return to many songs off of that album as like a seminal work of the early
People don't return to
2010s.
any of his songs. They listen to his new album for like a month and then they stop listening to
Or
him.
play it in clubs
Yeah,
and don't
I
really pay
think
attention to
the
it.
thing with me that I think if I said this in like a YouTube video, I'd probably get dragged or something, is that the first Drake album I ever listened to was the one he released in 2021, like
Certified Lover Boy.
Certified Lover Boy. That was the first one I ever listened to all the way
With the
through.
Is
horrible
that when he
rhyme
I
has the
art.
jacket on and he's standing to the
yeah.
side?
No, it's the
Yeah.
one that has all the pregnant emojis on it.
Yeah,
album
It's
it's
so
ridiculous. It
ugly.
wasn't good. And the only ones I've listened to all the way through are the ones he's released since then. I've never in my life gone back and been like, let me listen to some old Drake. I never like felt that desire. I think I've heard like half of If You're Reading This, but I've never listened to Take Care. I've never listened to Views or the one where
Well,
he's
all of
standing
his
to the side like nothing was the same or whatever. I don't know any of these albums. I
all
literally
of his
just get on
old
YouTube and
music.
talk about Kendrick. I know nothing about Drake's music.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, all of Drake's old music is literally just worse Lil Wayne. So it's like, why don't we just
yeah.
listen to
I know
Lil
I
Wayne?
love Lil Wayne, and so it's like I don't need to hear a little like a bad imitation. Just Lil Wayne if he could sing, which like most of the fun of Lil Wayne is that he can sing. So
Like
Yeah,
it's
it's
for
true.
me, the entire beef. I was also a huge beef head during this whole thing that was
yeah.
going on.
Yeah,
When
you made videos about it too.
yeah. And we had, I didn't see. I watched your video on the beat on Meet the Grams. When Ethan told me that we got you
Yeah.
for the
I
podcast.
think everyone else on earth did too. It's
Yeah,
like
it's did really
I
well.
cut it down.
But
Thank you.
yeah, the one point that you were making about how Pusha T's The Story of Adidon is kind of, obviously it's a huge. It's only been what, like 7 years since it dropped, but I think
Yeah.
it's now a modern classic of rap beef history. You can't really talk about modern rap beef without bringing up that song. But the unintended consequences of that song are now everyone has to do this like TMZ drama bomb. It's all
Right.
about like gossip and all this shit. And I couldn't agree more. I mean, I just wanted it to be about like who's better. That's kind of what it should be to me. But who the fuck am I to
Yeah.
say? But I don't know. I totally get where you're coming from with that. Is my point.
Yeah, I feel like the point where I was most like invested was probably like that because it just felt very like it was going to be competitive. It was Drake, J. Cole, and Kendrick. And then very quickly it just became like, oh,
This
like
is the dog on
you date
Drake.
little girls. And I was like, yeah. So I mean, this is cool. This is artistically valuable, but this is kind of like a lot less fun and less interesting. And then Not Like Us still became like the biggest song ever, even though it has all the same shit in it. But
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, for me, like that was like it really did feel like Kendrick was flexing, just like look what I can do, and just this tiny little snippet in a song, like how much I can stir up the pot. And I think Euphoria was kind of the masterpiece to come out of the whole beef, in my opinion. But
Yeah,
I'm not
I
gonna
really
lie,
enjoyed that one.
I love listening to Not Like Us, even though it says pedophile a lot.
Yeah, I know. I listened to that a lot last year, but now it's like I think it's been too overplayed for me. I can't take that seriously anymore. Like
Yeah.
I can't take seriously the mustard song. Like it's just become too much of a meme. Like
Yeah.
I can't. Like I can't
I mean,
listen.
Meet
I
the
don't think
Grams
I've
is definitely my
liked.
favorite. Sorry, what were you saying, Nick?
I was about to say, I don't think I've liked any Kendrick Lamar music in the last like 5 years, if I'm being honest. I think he's gotten too
Really,
like corny
Wow.
with it.
Corny?
really.
What?
I liked the last
What?
album. I thought it was
He
good.
leans into his little stupid voice too much, and it
That's
doesn't
just his.
sound as good.
That's just how he sounds,
That's
man.
that's part
Yeah.
that's
He used
part of
to.
his whole his artistry is using different vocal inflections.
Yeah,
He's
I
always
think
done
it
that.
No,
is like
I'm not saying there's no
a
value
thing
to it.
now.
It's just not for me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
which
feel
is
you.
fair. I mean, I really love like Baby Keem, which I feel like he's very much taking from Baby Keem, like his little cousin, doing the
That's
voices
true.
and stuff. So I think that's at least. So I feel like I'm a little bit more down with it, I guess. And so much of rap music now is like who has the weirdest voice.
Yeah.
Like all these people with just bizarre accents are becoming like like the top of like rap music or just music in general because it plays really well on TikTok to
Well,
have
it's
like
not
a
even
weird,
just that.
unique sound.
Everybody has like the same exact flow, so it's like they have to stand out somehow. Or like
Yeah.
every flow's been used basically. Nobody's really
Yeah.
coming up with anything new.
Yeah. And sometimes, I mean, I really like some of those artists. Like, I don't know if y'all know Glorilla, but Glorilla has the most like deep, like Memphis accent and says everything like Merzik, like back to like Dermos, like just crazy. And I think it's so like fun, entertaining. But then some of them are just doing completely too much. And I'm like, all right, this is not good music.
But just going back to because we were talking about like why the beef was so big. In like that, I've always felt like it was sort of distilled by Kendrick when he compared himself to Prince and Drake
Mhm.
to Michael Jackson, where
Michael
it's like
Jackson, yeah.
nothing against. I mean, speaking purely of Michael Jackson as a musician, obviously he's incredibly influential.
10 times
Like
better than Prince.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, well, I'm just talking about their place in the music history. Prince was
Yeah.
the experimental guy. He was the boundary pushing
Yeah.
person. He was known for his artistry, where Michael Jackson, well, you know, he was a performer more than he was an artist. Really, he was
Yeah.
he was very expressive in the things that people would write for him, but he wasn't really an artist in the pure sense of the word, which is kind of a really good it's a really good parallel
Yeah.
for Drake and Kendrick, because people want to, usually people that are really into art, they want to see the artist succeed, the person who's like really being true to what's inside of themselves, rather than somebody who's so corporate about things, which Drake always
Yeah.
has been, you know. I think that's a big piece of
Yeah.
it too.
I feel like
It's
they're
very
the two
true.
biggest artists, and then also it represents this divide and like what you choose to prioritize in art. If you want this very commercial, very filtered sound, I think Michael Jackson is a great artist, but I feel like the point about Drake being like the most commercial artist in the world was definitely like a huge thing, and then Kendrick being the more like experimental innovator and whatever. I think that was like made it like a very like you had to choose a side because it said something about how you engage with art like on a deeper level. Like, do you choose whatever's popular, or do you choose like what's like actually interesting and different and innovative? So
Yeah, for
I
At
thought
the
that was cool.
beginning, that's what it was, and then it was like, then if you like Drake, you're just a pedophile.
Yeah, that's
so
Yeah,
that's
it
well,
kind of
yeah, it
devolved,
did.
you
It
know.
did, it switched at a certain point for sure.
Kendrick was able
Which
to
is
paint
fu-
Drake as Sauron,
Right.
basically.
Well,
it's
hey,
it's
Michael Jackson. I think the comparison still
Yeah.
stands.
yeah. It's just so funny because it's like everyone's like there's like not really any evidence for it right now, but it doesn't matter because the song has had such a profound effect that everyone's just like, isn't that
Right.
Drake that pedophile guy?
Right. Right. I
Like
think
if
if you
you're
have to
calling him
start,
if
yeah, if
you're
you have to
calling him a
start any
pedophile at the Super
debate,
Bowl, it's
yeah, it's
pretty bad.
over. I think if you had to start any debate about who's better, and if you're the side of Drake and you have to start every single debate like, oh, he's not a pedophile. Let's just get that out of the way first off. Like you're already cooked. The debate is over. Like the fact that you had to address it is so like you're done.
I'm not talking about the pedophile allegations. We're
Right. So
just talking
let
about
pedophile
musically.
allegations aside, who's the better art? Like,
That's
please.
why the Heart Part 6 is one of the funniest songs ever made,
Yeah.
because he's just on the back foot, and just he said so many
Whoa,
Right.
whoa,
ridiculous
whoa.
things in that song, where he's just like,
Right. Right.
this Epstein angle was the shit I expected. Why would you expect that if you weren't
Right.
doing that
Like if
stuff?
you knew, like you got to
Well,
do some PR.
Yeah.
Well, I think the pedophile stuff is irrelevant because, like, I mean, R. Kelly's not a pedophile, but like he's done some
I
pretty fucked up shit, and I still think he's one of the like
Is he?
my favorite singers of all time.
I think
Now
he
he like
is.
pissed on women, and I guess he kind of was a pedophile, huh?
Yeah, they
No,
were
I think
Yeah,
minors.
he
he
was a
I'm pretty
was
sure they were
pedophile too.
minors.
confirmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
I
was
think
a weirdo and a pedophile.
he's
But yeah,
done.
Yeah.
R. Kelly's
he's
cooked.
still great musician. I
I don't know.
don't have
I've
to
never really
say.
listened to R. Kelly.
It's always that same thing where you're like, oh, the Rosemary's Baby is a great movie. I know the guys. I know Roman Polanski's a horrible person,
Yeah,
but the movie's really good.
Yeah.
dude. My worst one
Weinstein's a
is
psychopath
Jeepers
to me.
Creepers.
Oh
Oh
I
god.
used
yeah.
to love
Oh,
Jeepers Creepers, and then I
I
was
still love
like,
that movie.
I think I went down like a Wikipedia rabbit hole or whatever when I was
Oh,
super young, and I was like, oh, the director. Let's see what he's
Oh
done.
no.
And then I was like, oh, he's
Click
done
the
children.
allegations
That's what he's
tab.
done. Like
he's done buckets
crazy.
and buckets of hard drives.
My worst one,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love this indie band called Low Shoulder, but they ended up becoming Satan worshipping murderers.
Yeah, yeah. That's one of my favorites too. Very, very sad.
Yeah. So your channel has taken you in many different directions, from covering the Kendrick and Drake beef, like we just talked about, to video essays breaking down the near entirety of the Friday the 13th franchise. Have you had any fears that you might alienate certain sections of your subscriber base when switching between such drastically different topics?
Oh, absolutely. Like that is one of my biggest fears is that people are like, and I mean, I wouldn't even say fears. Like it's just one of the biggest things I struggle with on YouTube because like yeah, I make very different stuff. Like I'll make a video about yeah, like rap music or something one week, and the next week I'm talking about like some experimental silent horror film. Like it really varies, and not everyone shows up for everything. And it's also like really I guess like annoying, not annoying, but like it's sometimes frustrating to get comments like when I'll make a video and about something, it's from like people who are on my channel for something different. Like I'll make a horror video and they're like, love this. But when are you gonna go back to making like music videos? I'll make a music video and it's somebody saying like, I love this, but I'm a really big fan of your horror stuff. Like when are you gonna do more of that? And it's so like, I don't know. I always like I tell myself like I just have to make whatever feels right to me, whatever I care about, because I cannot like do a video and not have my heart fully in it. I've like tried to do that before and I just didn't end up enjoying like making or like working on those videos, and they never came out because I just didn't feel like it was authentic. So I kind of just follow wherever my passions are, and I have a lot of different passions, but I feel like even though sometimes certain audiences are like alienated, like it's what makes my channel unique, and the channel it is, there's no one else on YouTube who's going to give you the weird mix of stuff that I cover. So I think there's, I guess, like some goodness to it. And then also like I've had really big successes with both types of content. Like I've had like hundreds of thousands of views off music stuff. I've had hundreds of thousands of views off film stuff. So I can't really be too, I guess, like upset with how it's gone, because it has been pretty much the best like balance of success in both mediums that I could have asked for, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the thing you're saying before, that comment that you get a lot where it's like, well, I love this, but when are you going to talk about the other thing that I like? I mean, I can see why that's annoying, but I feel like ultimately it's kind of a good thing because they're still
Yeah.
sticking around, and the only common denominator is you. So they're like,
Right.
they're still saying they love it. I mean, I think I find it really impressive that you're able to do that, because I don't know, I personally would be a little bit nervous about doing that. I'd be like, I don't know.
Mhm.
I'm scared about doing like even going to like a different genre of film sometimes. Like I just had
Yeah.
success with this thing. Maybe I should just keep doing that, just because I'm like
Yeah.
so nervous about like building up or not losing momentum or whatever.
No, I totally get that. My biggest thing in YouTube has been trying to figure out how I balance, or like how I create a cohesive brand while covering such different things. Recently, I've just been trying to market my videos a lot more like around myself, because ultimately it is me reacting to whatever. So I put my face in a lot more of my thumbnails, like center myself. And I guess that's been kind of successful, but you also run into the issue of like who knows me, like the people that watch the channel know me, but a random person browsing YouTube, like they're going to probably have a better response to an image they recognize, like of an artist or of a film, than they are just a random picture of me. So I've tried to like find little workarounds, and I've been like semi successful with it, but it really does kind of vary. Like I feel like I'm in a pretty, I would say a lower point for my channel right now than I was this time last year. Well, definitely from this time last year. And I feel like I'm always like I need to recalibrate. Like I'm trying to figure out what's going to be successful. And it really is like constant trial and error, because I feel like I'm like flopping right now. But I mean, it really is like you could never predict what's going to be successful long term on YouTube, or where you need to pivot your content. The algorithm is such like a nebulous, weird thing that you can't understand.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I
until you kind of
totally.
become too big to fail, you can't really just do whatever you want, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We were talking about it before the episode, like like Moist Critical, or I even see this with like Video Game Donkey, where they can just make
Yeah.
whatever they want and it'll get a million views each time. And I'm
yeah.
just like, all right.
Yeah.
But so that, because I think about that a lot too. Like, do you put yourself in your thumbnails? Because I remember reading somewhere that it's like viewers want to see the creator in the thumbnail. Like that helps. I think that's why Mr. Beast is always like like doing those stupid smiles he does in the videos.
Yeah.
Like he's also extremely
The
Yeah.
serial
famous.
killer
I mean,
smile.
I think people just want to see the person behind the channel in the thumbnail, or at least that's one school of thought on it. I mean, have you noticed like a big difference in CTR versus the ones that you put yourself in versus not putting yourself in?
Yeah. I would say like, I think for some of my recent videos that have been like moderately successful, I do notice that my thumbnails featuring my face tend to do better. I've never had one really blow up, like blow up with my face in it, which is kind of the one thing that holds me back from doing that for all my videos. But I do notice that the ones with my face do kind of win out when I do the little thumbnail test. I guess partially because the people that are viewing it are people from my channel. They see my face, they come to it. Which there's I guess analysis I could do with that too. Like, oh, like is putting my face in it just giving me better like first day views? Is it doing worse for my long term views? Like, I don't know. It's such a weird thing, and I feel like YouTube analytics doesn't really tell you a lot. But I
Well, I
do
feel like a
think
lot
that
of it.
my face has been helpful a little bit.
Well, I feel like a lot of it's probably consistency, which like Nick, you always try to like add that like kind of stylistic consistency to your thumbnails so people kind of know
Yeah.
what they're clicking.
Mm.
And like somebody like me, like all my thumbnails are kind of all over the place. So like I feel
Mhm.
like even if somebody watched one of my videos and liked it, they wouldn't know that the next one I posted was necessarily by me. So I think
Yeah.
the face thing probably helps with that. Somebody watches your first video and they're like, "Oh, I remember her," and then they click it again, you know.
Right. Yeah. I think consistency is definitely part of it. So I think I'm trying to pivot my videos more to doing consistent thumbnail types now, but I kind of can't resist like the pull to design better and cooler thumbnails than just like my face surrounded by some other whatever people or images or things like that. As much as I do love looking at myself in thumbnails because, narcissism. But yeah, it is kind of like I don't know. Maybe I do need to start being a bit more consistent with it.
Well, I mean, the Sinners. I was just looking at the Sinners thumbnail. That's really cool. I really like that one.
Yeah, I like
A
it
lot a
That
too,
lot
one
of
is
but
yours are
sick.
great.
yeah, the one that did best was of me, like
Yeah.
of my face, which I thought that one was cool. It wasn't my favorite. And then I also had to like do like a title I thought was kind of dumb, but it boosted my algorithm or whatever. So it is what it is.
I think for certain things, you kind of have to stand your ground, even if it's not
Yeah.
technically the best, just because it'll make you feel right about it, you know?
Yeah. No, for sure.
Um, so speaking, we mentioned Friday the 13th earlier for a second.
Mhm.
Um, it seems to be a franchise that you like to talk about on your channel, like a
I
personal
love to
favorite of
talk about it.
yours.
Yes.
What is it about this franchise compared to the other handful of slasher franchises of the time that has drawn so much of your interest to
Yeah,
make multiple videos on it?
I feel like I could just go on and on. But main thing for me is that when I was little, I used to watch AMC. They had a Fright Fest or Fear Fest like marathon around Halloween. And one of my earliest, like my introduction to horror was watching through that. And they did a Friday the 13th marathon, like all like 13 or I guess it's 12, all 12 movies.
Oh my gosh, there's so many.
So I watched all of those. I had nothing better to do. I was like 10 years old. So I sat down and watched at probably way too young of an age, like all these Friday the 13th movies. Convinced my dad to get me the DVD of the first three from like Walmart, and just binge through those. And I just developed like this real love for them. I think the hockey mask is so iconic. I think Jason is like obviously he's the villain, but he's also like very adorable and I think sympathetic because, he really just, he just misses his mom. And I think that's so like I love that for him. It's very cute. And I think the movies are so fun. They're so weird. They also have a little bit of like backwoods like flair, which I'm a big fan of because I'm from the South. Obviously, I really like Texas Chainsaw Massacre too. The original Texas Chainsaw is like my favorite movie ever. But Friday are just the ones that I saw first, are the ones I really fell in love with. And I think it could have been Nightmare on Elm Street, but when I was a kid, Freddy really scared me because he didn't wear a mask and Jason did wear a mask. And so he like wasn't as scary. He was only scary for like the last 10 minutes. So that's the only part that I had to shield my eyes from. So I kind of preferred those because when he had
There's
the
like a
mask on,
fun
I was like,
mystique.
it's fine. Yeah. It wasn't, the faces at the end gave me nightmares, but for 90% of the movie, he was just some dude in a mask and I could handle that. So There's like a few different reasons, but I
I
just
guess
love
he has
those
weird
movies to death.
googly eye on the side of his head.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, I remember I've only ever seen the original, and that was last year. I have not seen a
Really?
single Friday the
What?
13th movie.
Oh,
That's
I
the worst
love
one.
those movies.
No,
The
I'm just
original
kidding.
is like I
It's not.
watched through it last year to do a video on it, on the whole series, at least the first 8. And I was surprised by how bad the original is, because everyone
Yeah,
says like, oh, it's such a like classic of
it's
horror.
a
It's
classic.
incredibly boring. It's
It's
incredibly
so
boring.
fucking
The
boring.
last
Like
10
nothing
minutes are
happens. Yeah.
like the only good part.
I
And
know
the
everybody
sequels are so much
shits on the
better.
3D of the third one, but like that's when it starts getting good.
Yeah, I really like the second one. The second one is like one of my favorites. And it's basically because it's just like a faster version of the first one without all the filler, and it has Jason. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I just love those movies. I think also some of the appeal of Friday is that with every other franchise, like it's collectively agreed that the first one is the best. Like Texas
Mhm.
Chainsaw, everyone agrees the first one is a
Halloween.
masterpiece. Everything else
I don't
is
know. The second
lesser.
Texas Chainsaw is my favorite horror movie ever.
Yeah, I think that one's like really good from what I've heard. I still haven't watched it. I've seen a lot of them, but I really do need to watch that one. And it's like with Halloween too. But everyone usually like each of these series has like a classic. Friday 13th doesn't have like a classic. People don't even like the first movie. They think it's like a ripoff of Halloween, which it
Yeah.
is. And I think
People,
it's one that like you can really have a favorite. And I like that I can like have my own opinion on which one is the best, and there's like no consensus.
And that's also like kind
that's
of
pretty
why
true.
I think part of that is the first movie barely has Jason in it. Like the
Yeah.
It
classic
doesn't really. I mean,
iconic
he's in
hockey mask
kind of
Jason
like a
doesn't show up till the
post-credit
third
scene,
movie, right?
basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's in the final 5-second spoilers.
Yeah, I think it's great. Like it's just there all these iconic elements. Like it's the one franchise where I feel like to understand it, you need to watch the whole franchise, because like Jason is not really in the first one. He's in the second, but in the second he doesn't have the hockey mask. Then in the third one, he gets the hockey mask, but he's like not like undead. He doesn't have his machete. You get to the fourth one, he's still not undead. Like you have to get to like the 6th or 7th movie to get to like what people conventionally understand Jason to be. And by that point, they kind of start to get like bad. And so it's like you can't really find one that's like the perfect like Friday movie. Like I would say it's 4, but even
Yeah,
then
4 is
4
pretty good.
he's not like undead. I think there's such a key element of him being undead and having like the rotting skin. I think that's such a cool part of him, but that's not in what I would say is the best movie.
Well, it's
Doesn't he
also
go to
like a
space?
franchise that, yeah, Jason X, fucking so
Oh yeah,
sick.
Jason X. I haven't seen. I was the first one I ever saw. My dad showed me that because he thought it was like a horror movie that I, as a like an 8-year-old child, wouldn't be terrified by, and I thought it was good. I thought it was fun.
Just him beating the 2 girls to death with the sleeping bags, just like
Yeah, that's
it's so
iconic.
funny.
Why does he go
I,
to
Um,
space?
I don't know.
it's there's
I
lore to
forgot.
it.
He
He
gets
gets
cryogenically
cryogenically
frozen.
frozen. They find him centuries later. They take him aboard the vessel. I think he makes the ship crash into like a colony and kill like millions of people. It's so ridiculous. That's the
That's so
one that's the
funny.
one it's been the longest since I've seen, because I just watched Jason Goes to Hell like the other night. And the last time I had seen that one before like literally last week was when I saw it on AMC when I was like 10. So I just had vague
That's the
memories
one
of it.
people like ironically more than actually enjoying it.
Yeah, I think Jason Goes to Hell is underrated. I think that could be definitely a video of mine. I love how weird and stupid it is, because that one also doesn't really have Jason. It has like Jason gets blown up in the first 10 minutes,
Yep.
spoilers, I guess, and then
It's like Season of the
he like
Witch almost.
possesses people for the rest of the movie. So it's just like some dude, but he's also like Jason. It's weird, but it's
Crazy. I
fun.
need to watch
It's
these.
fun.
I think part of the coolest part about Friday the 13th is like it's a franchise that like literally couldn't exist in like a modern era because it
Yeah.
only existed due to like studios trying to find some avenue to make it work, and they were willing to just keep making movies until
Yeah.
they could like find some way to make it work. Whereas
Yeah.
nowadays, if a horror movie flops, they're just like, nah, fuck that shit, throw it on Vimeo.
Yeah. I feel like they also like there's a Friday movie for every era. Like if I want to watch like 80s like slasher horror, I go to Friday. if I want to watch like late 80s slashers where they get really over the top, I can still go to Friday where he's like fighting a girl with telekinesis or going to New York or something. And then like if I want to watch like really like 90s like hair metal like kind of like slasher movie, there's Jason Goes to Hell. He has the super 2000s Freddy versus Jason, and
Oh,
then the
yeah.
2009 remake is such like a, it's just so 2009. I don't
It's
know.
very
It's so,
Transformers
yeah, I made the
looking.
whole video about it. It's very like,
Yeah.
it's just mean and like nasty, and all the characters are super unlikable. And I kind of like, I can literally, there's a movie in like every era that I can go to,
Well,
which I
Yeah,
feel like
color
is cool.
grade's horrible.
Ethan, weren't you telling us that A24 was trying to buy the rights to this
I
franchise?
think so,
yeah.
right? Yeah, I was actually going to ask you, Ellie, do you know
No,
anything? I've heard there's like
yes,
very complicated rights issues with Friday the
yes,
13th. Do you know anything about that?
yes. As a Friday the 13th expert, I can say the rights issues, it's like, I think there's this guy Victor Miller that like created the first movie. So he said that he had rights to the whole franchise. And there was this whole dispute with like the guy who produced all the movies because, you know, Jason isn't really in the first, it's just kid Jason. So this guy was like, I have the rights to Jason. And he was like, no, you have the rights to kid Jason. So they went in this whole legal battle. And I think one of them has the rights to like Camp Crystal Lake, Pamela, and child Jason. And the other one has the rights to like Hockey Mask, adult Jason, like the rest. It's like a weird
That's
thing.
weird.
But
So
I
it's
know
all like split into
A24,
pieces.
yeah, I know A24 is doing a show about Pamela,
Can't
who's
say
Jason's
okay.
mom, which I think is because they can only get the rights to like the first film. So they're doing like a prequel series about Jason's mom. That's what I believe.
So if you want to make a Friday the 13th movie nowadays, you have to get like the rights from multiple people in a package.
I think so. Or I think you would just have to like dance around like the origin. It would be like if you like, it would be like if you had the rights to Batman, but you couldn't use like the parents getting shot in the alley or like child Bruce Wayne. Like you couldn't use any of that. You just had to like start it like Batman, and you
That's
couldn't reference
crazy.
any of that, which is insane to me. But I hope it makes for some interesting movies because I don't know. I don't need to hear Jason's origin story anymore. I think it's kind of, maybe it's run its course. It's time for something different.
Yeah, I mean, James Gunn has
Yeah,
already
that's not
said
really
he's
why
not.
anybody
He
watches
doesn't
it.
want to do the whole. We don't need. I think he
Yeah.
explicitly said we don't need to see the slow mo pearls or getting shot
Yeah.
next to Max of Zero or whatever. So
Yeah. But I feel like them having the rights to just the first one could be like good because, you know, everything now is like a legacy sequel that ignores like every sequel. So when they make like, I don't know, Friday the 13th, it will have no subtitle. It will just be really confusingly titled. It will just be called Friday
Yeah.
the 13th. And they'll be like, this is a legacy sequel. And we're only going to remember the first movie. And the villain is now like Pamela, but as a zombie. Like something stupid like that.
Or the fact
They
that we have
pull
like
it off.
3 movies called Halloween.
Yeah, which is
It's so
ridiculous. I
annoying.
think
I
it's so
hate that
funny.
trend nowadays where they
Yeah.
just drop this. They do it in everything. They do it in games. They do it in movies. Like they did that new
Yeah.
God of War series where they just called it God of War, and I'm like,
Yeah, which is
there's another
horrible for
one.
Google. Like, how am I
Yes,
supposed to Google anything when I do research for my videos or when I write videos like my about the Friday remake and I had to be like Friday 13th, the remake. Like that's such a
2009.
mouthful. I had to be
Yeah.
like
Well,
New
I just say
Friday.
like add the year to it.
Yeah, I will. I'll do a little spoiler. I'm working on a video. Well, I filmed a video already about. It was like another scared of sequels video talking about a sequel, and it was Nosferatu, the one from this year. And I hated that I kept having to do. I had to say like new Sferatu and old Sferatu because they're both titled the exact same. Like there's no way to easily talk about them without just cramming your script full of stuff that doesn't sound good.
yeah,
I mean, there's 3 of them.
I mean,
Yeah.
speaking, I feel like this Superman movie that just came out is actually the first movie to just be called
Just be
Superman.
called Superman. Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
1978,
which is
it's called
yeah.
Superman the movie. I'm pretty sure. And then there was
Yeah.
Superman Returns in 2006 or whatever.
Then Man of
Yeah.
Steel.
I'm also not a big fan of just adding like how they have the Batman. Or like I just think that's so like
I think it's kind of an
Yeah.
elegant solution. It's kind of simplistic.
Yeah.
It's I mean,
But what happens in like 10 years when they want to reboot the series again and are they gonna call it like a Batman?
They'll just add a
Like
flag to it.
one of the
Another
Batman.
Batman.
Right. Another Batman.
So speaking of all these like slasher icons in Friday the 13th, so like the 70s, 80s, and even a bit into the 90s were what many would consider the peak of slasher horror and slasher horror icons, with them being almost entirely forgotten when entering the 2000s. The only
Yeah.
slasher icons and slasher films we get nowadays are for the most part reboots and remakes. While there have been a handful of successful attempts to create a new horror icon like X's Pearl or Terrifier's Art the Clown, it's nowhere near as prevalent as it was back in the day. So, do you think modern audiences' tastes and interests have changed too much to really allow for a thriving slasher icon economy, so to speak?
Yeah, I think like sadly, slasher movies just aren't. I don't think the market is really there for them right now. I think everyone wants like deconstructionist horror. The big outlier is obviously the Terrifier movies with Art the Clown, but even then, I feel like those are kind of there's still kind of this
Still pretty niche.
deconstruction. They're like this deconstruction on slashers in a way. They're like, what if we like, gutted the slasher literally to just the most base parts, like all the gore, like take out the story, take out like the really compelling
Subtext.
characters. Like, let's just make half the movie like really nasty effect shots. And I think even then it's like kind of a deconstruction. So I don't think there's really a space for like a traditional slasher anymore. I think the best you could do is like Art the Clown, because audiences just don't want to eat up the slop of like, movies that are basically the same coming out like over and over. They don't want to go back again and again. Um, I guess like yeah, Terrifier would be partially the exception because people do keep returning, but even then I think it's kind of just to see like how bad they can make the effects, like how like horrible they are. Like there's always like a bit of innovation where like other slashers, like classic slashers, it's just kind of the same thing over and over in a way.
Yeah.
Did he go
I'd
out
say
again?
Oh
I
no.
just
Oh, he's good.
oh, I just watched Mithrigan 2, and
Mm,
it's not, I guess it's not necessarily a slasher, but it does like kind of pivot in a similar way like
yeah.
the Terminator does, where it kind of turns into an action
Mhm.
movie for the second film. And I think, I don't know, I guess it's not necessarily a slasher, but I do think there are ways for horror franchises to kind of stick around.
Yeah. I think slashers are like the rock music of modern horror. Like I think like they had a big boom like in the 80s and 90s, but now whatever you find is going to be a lot more niche. Like it's not like really topping the charts like for horror and stuff like that. I think what's taken over is definitely supernatural stuff. And yeah, a lot of like legacy sequels. A lot of just like when you see a slasher, it will just be like a legacy sequel to something that already came out. But I think the original horror that's like dominating right now is I guess kind of like whatever people call elevated horror. I know
Yeah.
that's like such a debated around term, but just horror movies that are like more like introspective or like have like some kind of deeper message, like a A24 style horror movie, like with more artistic flair. Like I would say Sinners is kind of in that vein. It was a huge success and it's definitely more like artistic and
Is Sinners even
um
a horror movie though?
I
It
think
is.
it's half
It's
and
It
half.
really felt like more
I'd
like an action
It's
movie,
a
like
weird
an
one.
action
But I
movie
mean if
for
I'm
me.
ignoring Sinners, the most recent one I can think of that was like really well received is like Nosferatu, that I think is very
Yeah.
much in the A24 style of like horror that people like. And then the mainstream stuff is going to be remakes or it's going to be like sequels to The Conjuring or Insidious or like Bloodlines, like Final Destination Bloodlines. It will be like a big like legacy sequel. I think it's always I think that's just kind of what the market is right now. But I love to be surprised. Like stuff still gets through that's really original. And I like that. Like Nosferatu is, I think, great. I mean, Weapons is about to come out and probably
I'm
do
so
very
excited.
well. Um, like I think those are all kind of like those A24 style horror movies. And I think that's what's still kind of
Would
dominating the
you say
market.
that though? Because I don't really find Barbarian as like sort of an A24 introspective horror movie. It honestly feels
Yeah,
closer to like something like we're talking about Jeepers Creepers. Like I would almost kind of put
yeah,
it in that vein, where it's
I don't
sort
know.
of
I
like
feel like
a
there's plenty of depth to be found in the thematic, like the themes and subtext of
yeah.
Barbarian,
Yeah.
though.
I think there's like more to it, but I know like I think that it's kind of
I
hard to
wouldn't
like
call it deep.
pinpoint the exact like genre that's really like doing super well right now. Like I would kind of struggle to pin it
But I
down,
think
but
I think The Brazen
yeah.
Barbarian did well though. Is just because it's good, and I think there's a lot
Yeah.
of
Yeah. I think
bad things being made, and I think
yeah.
if somebody made a really really good slasher movie,
Mhm.
I think regardless of whether it's introspective or like interestingly filmed and like flipping the camera upside down doing weird shit, I don't think it has to do that. I think the movie just has to be good and people will enjoy it. Like Shelby Oaks,
Yeah.
like Chris Stuckman's movie. I mean, it doesn't look like it's super introspective, or it looks pretty straightforward
It's
from
like a
what I can tell
fun,
from the
fun,
trailer.
Yeah.
spooky horror movie.
Yeah, I think it's like I don't know. I think that is kind of the issue you run into. I feel like when people say elevated horror, a lot of the times they just mean like horror that's good, which is like so it's difficult to
It's a
do
bit
it. But
demeaning.
like I know that like I feel like when I look at like when you I feel like when you look in retrospect, it's a lot easier to like group stuff together. Like I can say 80s were big like slashers, 2000s was like the torture porn movies, and then also
And
like
then Paranormal
paranormal
Activity.
stuff.
Yeah.
And like now it's like we kind of have this more nebulous thing. But I think that like it is weird to me that slashers aren't like there aren't more slashers that are doing very well right now. Like I think people liked X, but even that's like very like deconstructionist. It's very like post like slasher. It's very like looking back at the genre. It's super chainsaw inspired and super
Throwback.
about like aging and about like beauty. And then even Barbarian's pretty straightforward, but it's also got all these themes about like like women's relationship to men, like masculinity, like the mother figure in that, and then also like the three men in the film, like Justin Long, Bill Skarsgård, and then the serial killer dad, like all being different varieties of like men that creep out the main character, act in a weird
Gentrification
way to
too.
women.
Yeah.
Gentrification too. Like I think it's what people really gravitate towards is just well-made films, which is always going to be the case. But I just don't. I think it's weird you don't really see slashers doing as well today. But I guess that's kind of just because the market is past. And then also like, I don't know, slashers,
I
it's
think it's
kind
just a
of a,
wave thing
yeah, it's also
because
kind of
like
like a
zombies went
self-esteem
and go in and
thing.
out of style.
Yeah. I think like slashers, like people in the genre expect like a certain type of film. Like they want to have fun with it. People don't want to think too hard about slashers, which I think is fair. And I think that might just not be the market that people are looking for. People want something that you can go on YouTube after and be like, ending explained. What did it all mean? They don't want to go see Jason
Red
cut up
Arrow.
kids for the ninth time. And yeah, it means nothing. I mean, as much as I
Well,
might
another
try
one,
to break down slasher movies, like they are kind of just like slop, but lovable slop. And I think interesting slop.
another one that did well fairly recently was the Happy Death Day movies. Both of those did pretty
Yeah.
Oh
well.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
kind of a unique twist on slashers though, where it's
Yeah.
like it's
I
a
think I
combo
think
between the time loop and all
those
that.
are the kind of slashers that are gonna do well still. Like if you have an interesting twist with it, like
Yeah.
slashers but make it Groundhog Day, or like slashers but make the villains old people, or like slasher
Make it
but
Freaky Friday and Advent's
yeah.
Mom.
Yeah, or like slashers but make the what's it called? Make the villain like just do the most atrocious, horrible stuff ever. And that's what Terrifier is. It's like slashers, but just crank it to 11.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
I
really
think
like
I
those,
mean,
I like Thanksgiving. I know
I didn't see that
I thought
one.
everyone was making fun of me on the podcast for saying I liked that, but I thought it was pretty good. It was I thought it was kind of satirizing slashers to the point where it was basically like a
Yeah.
spoof of the early 2000s slashers. I was like, I think this is pretty damn good. I don't know how it did in the box office though. It was fun.
Yeah.
I can't take Eli Roth has never really made anything that's impressed me, so it's hard for me to even like approach looking at it in a way where he has any kind of self awareness to.
Yeah. I'm not a very big Eli Roth fan.
yeah.
Like, at all.
I
Well,
think it's pretty rare to
I
find
like when
Eli
he played
Roth
the Bear
fans.
Jew. That was a good thing he did. But
Yeah,
I mean,
I think that's the
That's
best thing
good.
he's done.
He should stick
but
to
I think
acting.
Quentin Tarantino could put anybody in a movie and make them come off
yeah,
well.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. So the Friday the 13th franchise hasn't really had a new movie since the 2009 reboot, excluding fan
Mhm.
films and all that. This kind of ties back to the rights issue, but other than that, do you think there's any other reason that this series has failed to like make a reboot, or do you think it's primarily just the rights issues?
Yeah, I think rights issues, and also like people don't know like how to do Jason. I think like they don't like what we were talking about. I think slashers have to have like a new angle to them. And I just don't think people know, like, I think people are too protective over Jason to do something new with him that's, like, fun. Like, as much as people hate on Jason X, like, give me a Jason movie that's weird where he, like, goes to space or, like,
Jason
becomes
in the Hood.
a slug monster. Yeah, I think if they kept making movies, they probably would have got to that one at some
Yeah.
I made
point.
a whole video on this, so I completely agree.
Yeah,
Just
I think
making
it's
them
like
weird again.
yeah, they have to make them weird because we've already passed like the conventional, like the golden age of slashers. Now we're in the very like post slasher era where everything needs to have like a twist or be a deconstruction. And I just don't think you can do like a regular Jason movie. I do think that if they get the rights back, they probably just, which makes me very sad, will just make like a legacy sequel, which I think will be
Yeah.
very bad because Jason is not a franchise that like adapts itself well to a legacy sequel. Legacy sequels are made for franchises where the first one is like an undisputed classic and you can ignore all the sequels. But like I said earlier, Friday the 13th, like you have to acknowledge all the sequels because he doesn't really become Jason until like the sixth movie. Like the most famous actor to play Jason, Kane Hodder, like he only started in the seventh movie. Like you kind of have to accept the whole franchise. So I don't even know what a legacy sequel would be like. And also, there aren't really any good characters in Friday. There are none that like are really like I would be like, yes, they need to come back for a legacy sequel. It's kind of just Jason.
Yeah. All right, I got it. Legacy sequel where Kevin Bacon comes back and he's got one of those like
I was about to
cigarette
say,
holes in his
Yeah.
I
throat, and
could
he's
bring.
like, "I'm gonna kill Jason. I gotta get my revenge." And then you
Yeah,
go from there.
I think that would like that would I think break me because I love Friday so much. I'm so protective of it. That would to me be like my least favorite movie ever is the Netflix Texas Chainsaw remake
Oh,
because they
yeah.
literally did that and like it's one of my Texas Chainsaw is my favorite movie and the fact that they had like the
The main
Sally from
character.
the
Yeah.
original who's not even like a real character just like show up and like be like I've been hunting Leatherface for like 40 years and I'm going to kill him and like just do all this weird legacy sequel stuff. I was like that like broke my brain. I was like
They
that's probably the
Well,
worst movie I've ever seen.
to be fair about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, most of the sequels are really bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
and they clearly wanted to have their own Laurie Strode that's like, "I'm an old lady with a vengeance."
Right.
But
But
I
like,
like
think
I don't know. Halloween
yeah.
I
is
think
such
these
a
film studios
perfect
take the
genre for
wrong.
that.
I think these studios like take the wrong messages from this. Like, I think if
They
there were
do.
no rights issues for Friday the 13th, I think they would have immediately made one right after the first Halloween
Yeah,
reboot.
probably.
Probably.
Because they
Um,
they literally have followed the trend in the past. Like the 2009 Friday is so in line with Rob Zombie's Halloween, in line with the remakes they did for
OMG.
like Texas Chainsaw and Nightmare on Elm Street, like all of that stuff they just threw Friday right in, which it is like such a different genre. So that kind of frustrates me that they just treat it like any other IP. Because it is so unique and so weird, and I feel like you have to handle it in such a specific way.
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie, I loved the first Halloween reboot, the newer
Mhm.
one, the first movie. I loved it so much.
Yeah, the like
2018.
2016,
17.
18 one. Yeah, I was a really big fan of that too. That was kind of the start of the legacy sequels, and I think they still did it best because like they kind of set the blueprint because Halloween like is the franchise that works for because no one really likes the sequels. They get really confusing and people think the first one is like an undisputed classic.
Yeah.
I still
This-
think that if they should have kept Danny McBride on as a writer for it for the second and third, and it might have turned
Oh my
out
gosh,
better.
I remember I went to go see the second one of the remake trilogy they just did in the theater, and I was so baffled. Like, I went with my friends, and we all walked out, and we were like, "What the hell was that? Like, what even was that?"
The
J
writing
or
dropped off a cliff.
right, Michael, they were just like, they killed some random guy. Michael was like, I don't know, like a force. He came back. I was like, "What
Fire
I'm
is
the
doesn't
force of
affect
evil.
me.
right?" And at that point, I was
Evil
like, "Yeah,
dies
I'm not.
tonight.
I'm off this series." Which
And the third one was rough.
I didn't finish it.
Evil
I
dies
started it
tonight.
and I couldn't finish it. The third one. I
All
couldn't.
right. All right. Rapid fire questions, then we'll get into Jennifer's body. All right. Who is your favorite working movie director right now? Or just, I guess, movie director of all time?
God, of all time. I really like David Lynch. David Lynch is
Nice.
like
R.I.P.
probably my favorite. I've been watching a lot of like Guillermo del Toro stuff lately. really adore him. I don't know. I think I chase a lot of like not so much directors. I just watch a lot of like movies. And I think I would like to stick more with like a certain director and watch their whole filmography. But most of my favorite directors just end up being the ones that I just so happen to see the most stuff by because I'm like most interested in it. So David Lynch is like the best example of that. Like at some point in my life, I've wanted to watch like so much stuff by him that he is just kind of like by proxy, like become my favorite because he makes a lot of shit that I'm into and I think is cool.
Yeah, I still got to watch any of his movies that aren't Dune because that's the only one I've seen. I own
Shout out
Mulholland
Mulholland
Drive and I haven't
Drive.
seen it. I own it and I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
All right. Who is your who would you say is like the most underrated actor or actress in the industry right now?
I think Mia Goth is really great.
Yeah.
Like, I think like because I've done like acting classes and I've done acting before, and I remember walking out of Maxine and just thinking like that whole trilogy of X, like X Pro Maxine, I like she was just the stuff she did is to me so like amazing, and I like it's such like a strong performance, like such different types of performances, and she does it all like so well. So she's definitely up there for me as like I think the one that I like most appreciate that I feel like doesn't get the credit she deserves. Like I think she does like Oscar worthy performances, like really impressive stuff and doesn't really get the credit for it. Like Maxine, that whole movie, I know people don't like it as much as the other two, but it's low key my favorite because it's like her as Maxine acting as like this like movie star that doesn't care, but then you see X and she's like her character is supposed to be very like, not that. She's very like nervous and like, you know, like unsure about her future or whatever. And I think Maxine is like has such layers to it, like the performance. I really like that.
Yeah, she's really good.
Yeah.
All right, and then last one. What would you say is your Mount Rushmore of horror icons?
Jason is definitely there. So that's one of them. Leatherface is there for sure. Love Texas Chainsaw. Down. Freddy also should be there. I love the Nightmare movies. And then fourth, I don't know. I feel like that should be like my little personal pick.
Go for it.
Which I don't know. Like
Leprechaun.
yeah, I'm not gonna put Michael. My hot take, I'm really not that big of a fan of like Halloween or Michael. I think he's too like generic.
Bland. Yeah.
Yeah, he is too bland. I mean, my pick is probably gonna be Chucky. I think Chucky is
Oh,
that's a
okay.
solid
That's a
number
fun
4.
pick.
Yeah.
If not that, I don't know if y'all know Sleepaway Camp, but
Yes.
I love Angela from Sleepaway Camp. I think she is the rare female like slasher killer, and I think that she deserves the praise for that because it's like very fun just to
Yeah.
see this like little girl be like the villain of this whole movie. I think is great.
Well, cool. Awesome. Well, I suppose now we should get into Jennifer's Body,
For
directed
sure.
by Karen Kusama. Um, Ellie, why don't you tell us why you recommended this?
Yes. So Jennifer's Body is I would say it's like it's the one of my favorites that I'm like is the most palatable, is the most like acceptable because it was either gonna be that or Texas Chainsaw or like Mulholland Drive, which Mulholland Drive is 2.5 hours long. It's incredibly depressing. Texas Chainsaw is shorter, but like the most like disgusting, loud movie ever. Jennifer's Body is very accessible,
It's
but it's
fun.
also I think works in a lot of different layers. I love Megan Fox's performance in that. I think it's great. I made a whole like hour-long video about Jennifer's Body back in the day. I could just really go on and on about it. It's lesbian, which I think is awesome and wonderful and cool, and you don't really see that in any mainstream films, especially not like horror movies. Also has a female villain, which I think is cool. And then yeah, I just think it's wonderful. Directed by a woman, written by a woman. It's a great, I think, feminist horror masterpiece. So I am personally quite a fan of it. Because obviously as a woman who loves horror, like it's to me like one of the coolest things in the world is that Jennifer's Body exists. Also has a really great like pop punk soundtrack, like emo soundtrack, like with Panic at the Disco
Fall
on
Out
it, which I
Boy.
think
Oh
is
yeah.
is wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of like low shoulder, like they're just ripped out of any of
Yes, they
those
they have
bands.
that Through the Tree song is
Yeah.
unironically like an earworm. It is great. Yeah, the music of Jennifer's Body is like a huge part of its appeal for me.
Mhm. Yes, because we talked about underrated actors just a second ago. I think honestly, this movie, watching it, I was like, Megan Fox is underrated. She's great.
Yes. I think she's like so interesting in this because I think it's like a role that was meant for her because Jennifer is like she's supposed to be like this like it girl that's very popular and goes out and doesn't feel like afraid or anything like that, but underneath she's hiding this like real insecurity and like all this bad like trauma that she endures in the film. And I feel like Megan is able to like you walk into the movie, Megan Fox, like outside of it, and you're like, oh, she's playing like who she usually plays, like this very like confident, unbothered, like perfect woman. And then she like lets the cracks show through. And I think that's the real like best part of the performance, just how she's able to like deconstruct that image of not just Jennifer, but like of herself a little bit in the real world, which I think is really cool.
So you were mentioning like the queer. I mean, it's not really subtext. It's pretty.
It's
It's
not,
pretty
yeah.
They make
open.
out.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
open
people
in the
always say
movie.
that.
But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's kind of like for me. I wasn't sure. I was just curious if you knew if like Diablo, Cody, or the director. What's the director's name? Karen Kusama.
Karen
Right,
Kusama.
Karen
Kusama?
Kusama. Have
I
they
think Diablo Cody is just produced, right?
have they talked about what that is like? Is it supposed to be explicit? Like, is it a failed relationship, and now are they bisexual, or are they just like what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I kind of read Jennifer as closeted and like kind of repressed.
Yeah.
yeah,
I think, when I made a video about Jennifer's Body, I think that's one of the things I talked about a lot. Because that kiss they share is very like it's shot in such like a voyeuristic kind of way, like very like focusing on the lips, like I don't know, it just feels very like you're like watching. And to me it reads as like she is like preying on needy, like how she's preying on these boys. Like it's kind of inauthentic. It's kind of like, she becomes this monster fueled by like sexuality and then also like this desire to like consume others, and she tries to like project that onto needy. But I think also there are these really like beautiful scenes where it's like it's clear that needy like loves her or has like this like crush on her. And I think Jennifer like probably in a perfect world would reciprocate those feelings, but I think she's been so like brainwashed by the society that she exists within that like she feels like she has to constantly like do this performance for others. And then of course she gets turned, and I think she's just filled with like so much like rage and this desire to like consume and just like feed herself.
right.
Which I think is like very tragic. So I think it's a very like tragic lesbian love story. But I think it's still very like beautiful and interesting and cool in a lot of ways.
And in support of that, I mean, it's kind of interesting because it feels like Needy definitely does love Chip, her boyfriend, in a way, but
Yeah.
at the same
Yeah.
time, when they're having sex, all she can think about is Jennifer.
Jennifer.
So it's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
kind of like Jennifer in a scary context, but like she's literally like
She's concerned about
while
her.
they're having sex, she's screaming, like she does not in a good
Yeah.
way. She's like
And
she's
yeah,
kind of
and
rejecting it,
Jennifer.
As much as
Which is
Chip
there's
thinks
definitely
she's screaming in a good
yeah,
way.
that's not even like subtext.
Yeah.
That's just like overt text. Like I don't know. I think I really can envision the scene where Needy has to, break the news to Chip, like, hey, I love you. We can still be friends, but I think I'm a lesbian. Like I think that's the outcome that in a perfect world would have occurred.
Yeah.
I think they're both like women that are very like deeply, I guess, closeted and repressed a little bit. As I think most women are. You have like these like female friendships, and it's kind of hard to find the line between like what's like love in like a relationship way and then also like what's love in like a friendship way. And I think that's like an interesting thing that's played with in the movie a little bit,
Mhm.
which I
And
think is
also
cool.
one of the I was kind of thinking about this while watching. Every time Jennifer kills one of her victims, it's like it's ridiculous. I'm like, how
Yeah.
horny do you have to be to go into this abandoned house in the middle of an abandoned
Yeah.
neighborhood just for
Yeah.
the chance? And then like not the only time, but the only time someone like successfully rejects her is Needy, and she's the only
Right.
person that like actually ends up killing her. I thought that was very
Well, to be
interesting.
fair,
Where
that
everyone
guy
else
didn't
is
even
lured in.
seem. That guy didn't even seem that horny. He was just like, because he was like about to shut her down too. He was like, "Do
Yeah.
you even fucking know my last name?"
Oh, why would you want?
Which I think
See,
was
I
so
was,
funny.
I was thinking, I was like, okay, say I'm like a 14, 15-year-old or high school. That's whatever the ages are. They're like 17.
Yeah.
Say I'm this age, and I'm going to meet this girl in this like, and I get to this abandoned neighborhood. I go, okay, maybe maybe she's the first in a new development around here. And then I get to the
Mhm.
door, and it's like boarded up, but I
There's
see a
literally
windows
like a
on.
crow. There's like a vulture that comes out. Like
I
it's
think
ridiculous.
I don't think I'd get past. I don't think I'd go inside if I saw the doors
You
boarded
just
up.
hear
I'd be like,
Akon playing
Right.
lightly in
yeah,
the
I mean, in
background.
his defense, that is like where I live. Like, I live in a dark, like decrepit house with like birds and vultures and stuff.
true.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think I wrote a lot when I did a video about Jennifer's body and like cycles of abuse and how she's like, she's murdered, but then she like in this very obvious allegory for like sexual assault.
Yeah,
And then, she turns around and basically starts doing the exact same stuff. Like she becomes this like monster of like her experiences, just perpetuating them onto others, and like using people in a very like transactional way, like feeding on them, leeching off them, to basically like keep herself like happy and confident. Which I think is like super interesting. And I think that's one of my favorite parts of the movie. And it does make it very tragic because I think once Jennifer like dies and is reborn, I think she's already died. Like the part of her that made her like human, that needy loved is already gone. And the rest of the movie is her having to like reconcile like who her friend has like become.
Yeah.
Which I think is like very sad, but also like makes for a really compelling watch, I think.
Yeah,
yeah.
for
But
sure.
I also like how that's reflected in kind of her costume design and
Yeah.
like whenever she's feeding, she'll wear these incredibly vibrant colors and like
Yeah.
it kind of show off a lot of her body. And
Yeah.
then whenever she's been lack of feeding and she's like very like her eyes are kind of like darker, she'll start to
Yeah.
wear like bigger clothing, like big sweaters and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And
I always
yeah,
think of like that scene where it's like before prom and she's like just smearing the makeup
yeah,
like on her face. And it's very like, I don't know. I think that shot is so like just iconic to me and very like heartbreaking just for like who she is and what she goes through. And I think it's a great part of the movie.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting how at least I got a kick out of it how the indie rock band are the ultimate villains of the movie. And it's just like, not that I don't know, I'm in an indie rock band and I know some
Yeah.
guys who also are that aren't the nicest guys in the world. Not that they would ever do
Yeah.
satanic rituals and kill people, but
you
like,
wouldn't do that if you became famous,
I
Nick?
just love the speech in the woods when he's like, "There's so many of us. How are we going to stand out?"
yeah.
Right.
we
Like
we
Satan.
gotta do sacrifices to Satan. He's
Yeah.
our buddy.
Yeah.
Right. I
I
think they
I
are they are so funny. Like it is, I don't know, because what they stand for like in the movie like is so like horrible. Like just like
yeah.
this like kidnapping and killing women, but then like they're just too funny to not like just adore and like have the most amazing time with, cuz even like in their worst scene where they're killing Jennifer, they're like singing to each other. They're like talking about who's going to hold the knife, like if they're going to do the ritual right. Like I think it's just so funny and handled so well.
Yeah, I was just thinking how horrible would it be? I'd rather be murdered by someone that was really
Right.
scary than
Right.
someone that's sitting there and like making jokes about it as they're about to
Yeah,
stab me.
I
Like
would
he's
rather
holding
get
up the
I would rather get
knife.
Jasoned than
Yeah.
murdered by Low Shoulder. I think
Hopefully it'd be
that would really piss me off.
quick.
Well, there's
Yeah, he's just sitting there. He's just like, I'm gonna stab her. It's gonna be really gross. Here we go. Three. Oh, that's a nice
Right.
knife. Oh yeah, it's a Bowie knife. All right,
Right.
here we go.
there's the moment when Jennifer's getting taken away in the van and Needy's like talking about Adam Brody and she's like, he was skinny and evil, like this
Twisted.
this petrified twisted tree I saw. And I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's doing a bad thing, but he looks like very nice though,
He's a
regardless.
pretty
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Adam
I
Brody.
will
That
say
actor.
I don't know
That
if I
no,
would
actor
describe him
also
that
Adam
like
well.
Brody. Yeah.
I just love like because that brings up like a good point. Like I love like the writing, like how like stylized it is. Because the writer, Diablo Cody, she also wrote Juno,
Yeah.
which I think
Mhm.
she won a screenplay Oscar for because it has such like this distinct like writing style. And Juno's a bit like corny, or not corny, just a little bit overly done for my taste. But I feel like with Jennifer's Body, like it's just so like part of the charm of the film, like just all the weird little slang and Needy's very like over dramatic dialogue narration, like the part about the
Well,
petrified tree and stuff like that. Like it's very fun.
Yeah.
well, I think it's a reason that like people will not go back and watch Juno is like it's very much a product of its time, which I
Yeah.
think is the same for this movie, but I think that works better in horror films because you
Yeah.
don't necessarily mind being watching a horror film that kind of identifies with the time period it's from. Whereas
Yeah.
like a drama, you like it's harder to relate to people who
Yeah.
don't think the same as you.
I think also like just to like I think that there's like such like a camp element to it as well. Like, horror is already this very like campy genre. Like obviously we have like stuff like Rocky Horror, that's just very over the top and very campy. And there's like a lot of horror is exaggerated. It's like big performances. Like I would say like Freddy is very campy, Chucky is very campy. And I feel like Jennifer's Body fits very well into that tradition of just like super campy horror movies where you're kind of like in on the joke. Um, but then also like it's still a fun watch. Like, like it's gonna be campy regardless. So the dialogue can be ridiculous and over dramatized as well, I feel like.
I definitely think that she did tone it down a little bit from Juno. Like she's
Yeah.
not your ego is prego, home skillet. Like all that shit is
Right.
is
Yeah.
is kind of in this movie, but not really. It's not
A
as
lot of
intense as that, you know.
I feel like the most ridiculous lines just come from Jennifer. Like every other character is way
Which is
more
kind of
toned
like
down.
when I read the movie as like she's very much doing this like performance of herself all the time. I'm like, oh, that kind of works because she's running around talking about like people are so like salty or
What is
like
that? Was that a thing back
I've
then?
no, I
never
don't
heard
think
People
it
that
was. I
before.
think it
salty?
was another like forced thing.
Okay.
But
'Cause
she has
when
some crazy
yeah,
lines in this.
when she's
Some of the
making
lines
out
that
with
stick to me are
Chip
like
and she's like, "You're so salty," and he's like, "Thanks, you're salty too."
Yeah. I I think it's so
well, like
funny.
him being like, I went to Super Target and I got more condoms. It's just like, what the
Ribbed
fuck
for
are you
her
talking
pleasure.
about?
No, she has like such iconic lines that like I will like even quote that I think are just like so funny. Um she's just iconic. I think every scene with her is I love that she's like the character that all these ridiculous lines are coming out of. Um yeah, I think she's great.
Is it just me or does Chip looks like he should be in Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide
Yeah,
and not
he
a
does.
movie about this?
No, I think Chip is like one of the most pure characters in all of horror. I think it's very sad that he dies.
Yeah, I was very
I
sad about
forgot he
that too.
died.
Even though he
'Cause
does
I
kind of cheat on Needy, which
Yeah.
was not the
But
move.
he thought she cheated
It
first.
was a revenge cheat, which it
Yeah.
doesn't really excuse it. And also they were on a break at the time, so
yeah, so it's muddy.
Yeah.
but it's still Needy's best friend. Like I wouldn't do that. That's
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. But Chip is like, I don't know. He's just like a guy. He's like a dog. So I can't really like I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, poor Chip, he's been lured. He's been like lured in by it would be like if Megan Fox gave him like a treat. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah.
I love the way that they edited the scene of like Colin and Jennifer, her killing him and then like
Yeah.
Chip and Needy having
Needy.
sex because it's
I
like
think
the
that's
most
my favorite
stiff
too.
sex scene. That's like, am I too big?
he smiles.
And then
Yeah, that was so
he's
funny.
like, am I too big?
Yeah.
And then it
No,
just cuts
it's
to like
that's
Jennifer
one of my
ripping
favorites.
Colin's stomach open. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Which I love that.
Curious because I read online that the unrated version is better. So I bought that version. It
Mhm.
wasn't for rent, so I just bought it on Prime.
Yeah.
What do you know the differences between the unrated version versus
I
because the only thing I
believe
remember
I
is that
do.
I think the like opening hospital scene is really like way longer in the unrated version where you get to see Needy like going around the
Yeah.
cafeteria and kicks the
I
lady.
think it is. I'm trying to remember which one I stick closer to. I think I watched the theatrical version. The unrated version isn't really. It doesn't have like that many. There's not like a lot of like effects differences. It's mostly just like scene placement and like length. Which when I like would talk about a film, I usually just stick with theatrical because like that's the most like well known like
The most viewed version.
most viewed version. And I think with Jennifer's Body, if I'm remembering correctly, I think the theatrical flows a bit better. I think there's like a lot more like just added in scenes in the director's cut or whatever that are A little bit. Like, I think they're fun. I think the filmmakers were really happy with the world they created and wanted to show it off a bit more, but I don't think they really helped like the pacing of the film. I kind of like the tighter theatrical version because you're not really
Yeah.
missing anything. It's not like I'm just thinking of like Jason Goes to Hell because I just watched that where like the effects are incredibly cut down if it's not in the unrated version, and it kind of like completely changes like the movie, and the effects like one of the best parts. So I'm like, for that one, like unrated version is definitely my pick for that. But with like Jennifer's Body, I kind of prefer the
Well, a lot of the
theatrical.
time, unrated versus directors is like directors are putting things that aren't initially in the movie, and unrated is like they're
Yeah.
cutting things out so that they can keep the rating that they want.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
so I
I
feel like
thought
the difference is like the intent behind why they're adding scenes.
because I don't know if there's a director's cut. I just assumed. I think I read that the like final cut of this was like the director's choice.
Yeah. I would
But
have
the
to check. I think
problem,
I have like a Blu-ray of it. I think there's like theatrical and director's choice on it. I'm
okay,
not positive though.
but we have to talk about how this movie kind of flopped and how it was all
Yeah.
kind of down on the marketing. Like they
Yeah.
marketed this to like us, like
It was
me and the Knicks
Yeah.
in middle school and high school. Like
Which I guess I can't fault them for that completely. You know, they're getting Megan Fox in her Transformers prime. So
Optimus
I
Prime.
yeah, pun
Sorry.
intended. I think so I think that that's I'm not really surprised they did it that way, but this is a film that's was very like cut down by marketing. I think also like maybe the world wasn't super ready for it. I think like back then, I think like women have always loved horror, but I don't know if the world would have been ready for like an accurately marked Jennifer's Body anyway. I don't know if it would have. I still don't think it would have hit maybe like it needed to.
Yeah.
It's kind of very like ahead of its time. I think if it came out today, like people would eat that up. It would be huge.
Yeah, you slap an A24 logo on it, people
Oh,
would love it.
absolutely. Right? They'd be like, Megan Fox returned to serious acting.
Yeah.
This woman who was like basically made into a pariah or like a sex symbol object when she was super popular is gonna come back and do like a deconstruction of all that in a horror movie. Like people
Almost like
would
a
love that.
Substance type
Yeah,
vibe.
it's given
Yeah.
well, or like a like, kind of like an uncut gems treatment, but back in the day
Yeah.
when no one was ready for
I
it.
think if this,
Yeah.
I think if this, I didn't actually watch this when it originally came out. I watched it like 10 years later, and I think if it had been marketed as it actually is, I would have gone and seen it. I think I
Yeah.
didn't want to go see the ooh hot girl movie.
Yeah.
It just
And I
wasn't
feel like
appealing to
it
me.
just makes it seem a lot more generic. I
Yeah.
think like a great because you said Uncut Gems. I think Punch Drunk Love like is a more serious Adam Sandler movie that came out like in the early 2000s and
Yeah.
was not a huge success. But Uncut Gems, like 20 years later, big success.
Yeah.
I think it's like it's really is partially all about timing. And I guess marketing, yeah, marketing does also play a
Because
huge
like looking
role.
at the posters for Jennifer's Body, it's like it's got the like
Yeah.
it's got like the football team font, and every picture is her
Yeah.
sitting at a desk with like a super like an outfit she doesn't even wear. Like they show the cheerleader outfit in all the
Yeah.
posters. That is not what her cheerleader outfit
No,
looks like in
yeah.
the movie.
It's ridiculous. Which I don't know. I mean, I don't like I just think the marketing is so bad. And I hate to even like think about it because it's so different from the movie. And I just have to
Yeah.
sit here and brainstorm like what would accurate Jennifer's Body marketing even look like? Like, I don't know. Probably very
But you have to,
campy, very funny.
yeah, you have to think about what was like actually popular at the time, and it
Yeah.
just didn't fit, right? I mean, this
Like
movie
Yeah.
is so self-aware and silly. Like that entire scene with the dad, I'll rip your balls off and hang them on my door like those
and
rich
use him as
people's
a
door
door knocker.
knockers.
or
It's just like,
or the mom at the funeral who's like, my son's 6 feet under and he's not gonna have angel flaming wings in hell.
I thought
bro,
that
his
was
mom
played serious. I thought the mom scene.
Yeah, that was it was silly, but it was played
at the
straight.
end, yeah. But whenever she answers the door, like she steals the show, dude. His mom was like the most ridiculous fucking character for the 3 seconds she's on screen.
J.K. Simmons was very funny in this.
Oh
He
yeah.
just
Dude, he's
No,
has the hook hand and just
unrecognizable.
gives
He
the
is like
tissues.
that is one of the parts where I'm like That is just so funny that yes, he's missing a hand. He has like this fake hair and none of it is ever addressed.
Yeah.
There's no explanation for his hand. He just doesn't have a hand, which I think is so funny.
Yeah.
It's just like the most interestingly designed character that is basically the most boring character in the movie. He's just like a
Yeah.
teacher. And I think that's
Yeah.
so funny. Like it's so like the movie is so self-aware.
It's a very
also
thankless
pre-
role for an actor of his stature too. To just take
Well,
that.
it was also pre like weight
was
loss J.K.
pre-Whiplash.
Simmons, so he was like unrecognizable because he's
Yeah.
like nowadays he looks younger than he did back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like jacked.
Well, he was in Juno too, so maybe he was just like a Diablo Cody. But I mean, she
Yeah.
wrote this. She didn't direct this, right?
No, she didn't
Yeah,
direct it.
she
She
just
just
wrote
wrote
it.
Did
it.
Diablo Cody direct Juno, or is that someone else?
No, I think she
Did you?
just wrote Juno as well.
Oh, okay.
Juno is directed by
By Jason Reitman.
yeah.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yeah. The what was I gonna say?
No, but yeah.
Yeah, no,
ultimately,
I didn't remember
sorry.
how much how funny this is because it's like incredibly
Yeah.
campy. Like the whole
It
thing
really
is so
is.
silly.
Like I think once you give yourself over to just how ridiculous it is, I think even the parts that on a first watch I was like, oh, this is kind of corny, I start to really appreciate because it's all just so ridiculous. Like the needy like narration. When I first saw this movie, I was like, oh, it's kind of like doing a bit too much. But now like it's one of my favorite parts because it is so dramatic. It is so like Tumblr core. It's like something you would find like, written on some like teenage girl's Tumblr, like yeah, like it's just it really is ridiculous. I think it's so funny.
So wait,
I think
just to get the lore right, like the implication is she has some of Jennifer's demon
Jennifer's
powers, but she doesn't have
Yeah.
to. She doesn't
Yeah.
have to eat people, right?
No.
She's like half demon. She's got like demon psionic
Right.
powers.
She's like
and stuff.
Blade. She's like she gets like the powers without the bad part.
Wow, that's pretty
Yeah.
awesome. And I
Yeah.
like how she was just like meditating while she floated up.
Yeah.
Just
No, I love
doing,
that.
You're not even
yoga pose.
floating that high.
You're not even floating. She's levitating. It's not that impressive. Why do you have to?
That is- yeah, that's my
undercut
favorite
everything I say?
Oh god. Yeah, this movie is like insanely quotable. It's so self-aware. It's so fun.
Wasn't it
Yeah.
weird that the voice actor for Mario was in this?
Chris Pratt.
Oh, Chris
yeah.
Pratt. Chris Pratt is in this.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I yelled. I
one
was
of
like,
my
"Why is
biggest
Chris
jump
Pratt
scares
here?"
When I first watched this, I was like, oh, why is he here?
And
he
then he
really doesn't
dies.
do
See it.
anything.
Off camera. They're like he
Right.
burned in there.
He shows up for one scene, says the F slur, and then like leaves.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
And
they
then he
use
just
the R
dies
word
off
a lot
screen.
in this movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's very 2000s.
yeah.
I did think it was funny how the Satanist indie rock band, their lead single kind of sounded like Christian rock. Like the chorus,
A little
Yeah.
bit.
the chorus of "Through the Trees" you could hear on like any worship station.
Dun,
Like
dun,
"Through
dun.
Absolutely.
the trees."
He will find us. Praise the
Right.
Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
But they
I don't
they
know,
were,
I had
they
a
were
lot
great
of-
too. They were great villains.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
I also like the comeuppance is very satisfying. I would have loved to
It
see that in
is.
the
That's
scene.
one of my favorites. Like
it's
I
fun.
love like that they
Just
don't
the
show
evidence
it. They
photos.
just like let it kind of be implied in the credits
Yeah.
through the Polaroids or the pictures. That's like one of my favorite parts of it. I think it's just so unique and I don't know. They could have done a very like drawn out ending sequence, but they just kind of let it be this like thing in the credits, which I think is still just as satisfying, but it gives you a lot of like imagination, so you can think it's a lot worse than maybe it actually was.
Yeah.
I was pissed initially. I was like, "Are we really not going to see any of it?" And then we saw it during the
Right.
credits. I was like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Yeah,
That's fair.
little
They give
clip.
us a taste. I think it also just
Right.
makes
There's
for
also
great
A taste.
credits.
Yeah.
There's
Fun.
also so much like writing that like doesn't make any sense in this movie. Like at the end, in the beginning, when they're like, it's a bottomless pit that goes nowhere. They even have scientists trying to track it. It's like, why don't you just put a tracker inside the ball that you're throwing
Right.
in the hole? You
Yeah.
We just threw a bunch of
dumbass.
rubber balls in there and we can't find them.
Right. No, that's so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. So as far as ratings go, I think I'll go 7 out of 10 on this one. I really
Yeah, that's
liked
kind
it.
of where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it 7 out of 10. I'm gonna like it on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
I'm also
It was
at a
fun.
7.
I love Jennifer's Body. It's like a 9 for me. It's one of my
Heck yeah.
letterbox favorites. So I have
It's a good
to.
favorite.
Yeah, it's one of my
That's
favorites.
fair.
I think it's just so I don't know. It's just one of those that I'm like it's just endlessly rewatchable for me. It's like, I feel like I enjoy a lot of like miserable, like horrible horror movies, Jennifer's Body is the rare one where I'm like, I enjoy this a lot and I can show it to people and they'll not like think I'm a freak or something, like a
Ronan
monster.
Barbarian.
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you know what Martyrs is?
Yeah,
Oh
I've
yeah,
never
I
Yeah.
know
seen it.
what
I've
Martyrs
heard of
is.
it, but
I'm a
I've
big fan of
considered,
Martyrs. Martyrs has a 9 rating from me on Letterboxd as well.
isn't that the
So-
one
I've
that was
considered-
like banned in certain places and or
Yeah,
something?
it's
Like,
banned.
Yes, it's like
I've-
it is genuinely unwatchably like
Yeah.
horrible and depressing.
damn.
I've
But I
considered
love it. I think
recommending
it's
it
great.
for
I
the
think it's
pod
beautiful.
just to ruin the vibe.
Yeah,
I'm not the
next.
biggest
Yeah, I
Martyrs
should have.
fan,
I should
but-
have recommended Martyrs. We could have had a very like just depressing conversation.
That's one of the ones where it's on my watch list, and I'm just like, oh god, I have
Yeah.
to. One day I'm gonna watch it, and I'm not gonna be happy about it, but I know
Yeah,
I have
I
to.
wasn't happy. I will say, like Jennifer's Body, another lesbian horror classic.
Oh,
So
okay.
shout out Martyrs
All right, cool.
in some ways.
Is it worse than Salo? I've heard that one is.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I haven't
I think it
seen
is
Salo.
potentially worse. There, I mean, I'm not going to
I've heard-
spoil Martyrs. I think it's you need to experience it yourself, but it's just a lot of like really like horrible like torture
Grotesque.
and stuff that you never want to imagine ever. Like,
Yeah.
but I think it has a
It's-
point. It has a purpose. It's
Yeah,
very-
that's I think
it's
why it gets a pass, because it's
touching
it's like
film.
not just torture for torture's sake. It's
Yeah,
torture with a point.
because torture for torture's sake is like Terrifier,
Miserable.
which
yeah.
I love too. But
But Terrifier is like almost like a cartoon more
It
so
is.
than like,
Yeah,
It's like a
it
Looney
is.
Tunes character brought into real
I
life.
have friends that like cannot handle Terrifier though. I went to go see Terrifier 3 with 2 of my friends. I took
Ugh.
them to the theater and they were like, "Is this going to be bad?" And I was like, "Yeah, it probably will
Yes.
be." I was upfront with them about it. But they like were so mad at me afterwards. They just sat with their mouths open the whole movie and just kept hiding their eyes because Terrifier 3 is genuinely the most like reviling, just like just horrible shit ever. I think like if my mother knew that I watched that, she would think I'm like going to hell. She'd be
I
like,
literally
"This-
sat in the back row of a movie theater by myself. There was one couple in the front,
Yeah.
and then I was in the back, and it was an empty theater, and I'm just watching this movie, and I'm
It's
just like,
crazy."
oh,
I watched
feel
Terrifier
like
3 with a surprisingly full theater, and it was wonderful. Everyone was just gagging and screaming and walking out, and I thought it was great.
It made a lot of money.
I feel
right?
like watching.
I
Yeah,
think it
it
did.
did well because they're not. The
'cause it was
budgets aren't
also-
very high.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
budget's tiny.
I would be
Yeah.
sad for the 4th one.
I went to the
Terraform.
second one. I remember I went to see the second one. There was a whole ass family there with their like 11-year-old children,
Which is
and I was like,
crazy.
"What the fuck are you
Crazy.
doing?"
The Terrifier 2 is the only horror movie that ever made me like genuinely like lightheaded. It was the main
one.
death scene.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
seen the clips,
I heard it
yeah.
was so bad that I had to like before I even saw the movie, I pulled it up on YouTube, and after I got done watching it, I felt like I was going to pass out because it was so like just disgusting
Grotesque.
and horrible to imagine. But all other Terrifier kills I've been fine with. And I'm okay with that one now. I just had to get accustomed to the level of horribleness that is Terrifier. Like I
There's
still
a
haven't seen the first
separation
movie,
level.
so
The first one's not really worth watching. So.
yeah, I heard it's not great.
Isn't Art the Clown in a movie before the Terrifier movie?
Yeah,
All
he's
Hallows
in like
Eve.
he's in like some like anthology
Oh,
stuff.
okay, interesting.
Which I think they tie it back into in the third one, but I'm not up on the Terrifier lore. I mean, what does the Terrifier lore really
It's basically
matter?
like a proof of concept short film, is what
Yeah.
it was.
I feel like
It's a clown guy
Terrifier
that cuts
he
people
should
up.
have no backstory. It's just he's there, he kills people, he has like no motivation. Because I was
Yeah,
talking to my
it's just
friend the other
fun.
night who's like has like an actual like phobia of Art the Clown, like cannot see pictures of him or will be like very like unsettled and disturbed and like afraid that he is near or something. And they were like, yeah, the worst part about him is that he just shows up and kills people. Like he has no motivation. He just is like there and he's just
He
like
just
the
picks
worst
you.
guy ever. Yeah. And so it's like if I ever saw Art the Clown, I would have to, off myself instantly. I'm not letting him
Yeah.
get to me. Because
Well, it's
whatever
like
he's gonna
those
do to
serial
me is gonna be
killers that
worse.
that don't necessarily have a motivation. They just want to do
Yeah.
it. Like that's almost scarier than anything. It's like
Yeah.
at least I'm fitting some. I'd rather fit some kind of profile. And
No,
be
I
killed
think
than-
the scariest part about Art the Clown is like you literally, it's just that you bumped into him. It's just this base fear of like, oh, like that guy you didn't even do anything mean to. You just like passed by him on the street. he's just going to murder you in like the worst way imaginable just because you were there, like just because he can. Like I love that in those movies, like people will be nice to him and then he just kills them.
Yeah.
Like anyway,
He's like,
they're
oh,
like,
thank
hey,
you. All
they're
right.
like, hey friend, like do you
I'm
need
gonna
some
cut your
help with
face
something?
off.
And then yeah, he like skins them alive.
He's so
children as a
happy
present.
about it.
Yeah, he literally doesn't care. You can do anything. You're like not surviving him. Other slashers, it's like there's a way to like maybe like be their friend. Like if I get attacked by Jason, I would just pretend to be his mom. But Art the Clown, there's nothing you can do. You just have to like
Yeah, I
accept
feel like
it.
in most slashers, like I could get out of that.
Right.
Yeah.
There's always an out.
You're
There's
like,
no
well, I
out
won't
with
trip
Art the
while I'm
Clown.
running.
Zombie movies, you're like, those zombies are fucking slow, dude. I could get away from
Isn't
them.
there a
Right.
special sword or something in the Terrifier that the main girl
Yeah.
uses?
They're trying to add like lore into it now, but I think
think the
those
lore's
movies
getting away
honestly
from
the
work
point.
better when it's like there's just no like way to like
I think the
do
lore is
anything.
great as long as you just don't try to like actually make it make sense in your head. You just
Don't
kind of
map
turn
it
your
out.
brain off and like,
Yeah.
okay,
My my like suggestion for Terrifier is I think the final girl should just be like she should get equally like as like cartoony as Art the Clown. And she shouldn't fight him with a sword. She should be pulling out like machine guns, like a rocket launcher.
I'd drop a
And
nuke on
it
him.
just becomes like a cartoon, like
just
that. I
becomes a
think
Stephen Chow
that's
movie.
what they should be.
They should go to space.
Yeah, literally.
with Jason.
Just becomes Tom and Jerry. In
Yeah,
live
they should
action.
put Art
I
the
think
Clown
she's
in
gonna
space. I think that's what Terrifier
I-
4 needs to be.
I think she's basically going to hell, right? Isn't that the concept of the next
Yeah.
one? that
Yeah,
they
I
set
hope
up?
so. I would love to see that. I'm sure it will. I don't know. I hope that they can do that well because they need to add some budget to it if they're going to put them in hell.
They doubled the budget for the last one, I think. So I mean,
Yeah, maybe
and
they'll
they made
double
a
the budget
fuckload
for
of
this
money,
one
so,
too.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I gotta start wrapping up, guys. I gotta take my
Yeah.
dog.
No,
out.
you're
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
No, I got to wake up early tomorrow too. It's 11
It's all
here.
good, guys.
All right. Yeah. Well,
All
yeah.
right.
Thank
Well,
you.
do you want
Thank you.
Mhm.
What?
my suggestion for next week?
Well,
Yeah,
we
I was
should
gonna-
let
I was-
Ellie plug herself first.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Ellie, plug
Okay.
yourself. How do people find you?
So I am at Making Media Matter on YouTube and Instagram, and my letterbox is linked on my channel. Basically all my socials are linked on my channel, but YouTube is really the one that matters. I do video essays whenever I'm able to. You know, I do school, I do work, so I find my time in there, whatever. But yeah, definitely check out my videos if y'all are so inclined. I don't really have anything more to say than that. I make cool stuff about horror and music, as I've talked about for the last 2 hours. So,
Awesome. Well, yeah. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for being on there. I really appreciate you coming on.
of course, it was wonderful to
thank
be
you.
Your
here. Thank
videos
you
are
guys
great.
for
Yeah, it was
having me.
wonderful.
I got sucked into the rabbit hole on them whenever we were researching.
Yeah, it was good chat. Yeah, thanks for recommending Jennifer's Body as well.
Of course, yeah. Thank y'all.
Yeah. All right, guys. So next episode we are going to be talking Weapons, Zach Cregger's new film, and in addition, Nick's got a recommendation.
So this has actually been on my list for a while, and it just times perfectly with Weapons releasing. It's Miss March, which is Zach Cregger's directorial debut alongside Trevor Moore. Rest in peace. It's so funny. It's like the silliest, stupidest comedy ever, and it is such a tonal whiplash based on like what he's doing right now. So I want to do Miss March, and then Barbarian, and then Weapons. So I want to do all of Trevor Moore's filmography for the next episode.
Doing a Cregger ep. Next week. All right. So if you guys
Yeah.
enjoyed this, you're watching on YouTube, please leave a like or leave a comment, as well as on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And real quick, Ellie, thoughts on the Stuckmanizer, Chris Stuckman? Sorry, we have to ask.
The trailer,
Well,
No,
that
just him
and
in
just the
general.
man.
I think he's cool. I like the videos. I've never really been a consistent viewer, but I think the trailer is really cool, and
Yeah.
I would definitely want to go see it. And I love YouTubers doing anything outside of YouTube. I think is awesome, and
Yeah.
inspirational, aspirational. But I will definitely see about if I can get a ticket to that, because I think I might bankrupt myself going to see Weapons next week. So we'll see.
Well, awesome. Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, thank you all for watching. Thank you once again, Ellie, for being here. And as we all sign off in our usual honor of Chris Stuckman, get Stuckmanized,
Get
everybody.
Stuckmanized.
Get Stuckmanized.
All right. Bye.